To younger viewers, it might feel like heart-stopping, skin-crawling, stomach-clenching horror has been a television staple forever.
You can cry.
But the torture porn, gut-splattered feral kitten jump scares of modern streaming horror is mostly a post-9/11 convention. The television horror of the 20th century, with a few notable exceptions, is pretty tame. However, in the early days of the medium, just past the dawn, about breakfast time, there was a series that explored the furthest reaches of man's aspirations and the darkest depths of his fears. And from this came a creature that was considered at the time too terrifying for television. I'm Captain Kirk, longtime passionate collector of old school sci-fi. Join me as we explore classic props and the tales they tell in the Prop Gallery. I would like to introduce you to Private Gordon. Or should I say, the ghost of Private Gordon, a phantom. But almost from the beginning, the production team affectionately called him Charlie, Chill Charlie, and he was one of the very first monsters from the Outer Limits. Now, Prop Gallery has covered the Outer Limits pretty thoroughly in an earlier segment, so check out the Soldier episode, and while you're at it, subscribe. Chill Charlie is from the third episode ever produced for The Outer Limits, The Human Factor. The story takes place in an Arctic nuclear station, very much like Howard Hawks' 1951 sci-fi classic, The Thing from Another World. But this story deals with a mind swap between a psyche-shattered Major Brothers, played by Harry Gardino.
This machine works, it'll be possible for two minds to communicate directly.
And his psychiatrist, Dr. James Hamilton, played by Gary Merrill, or the former Mr. Betty Davis, and a very liberal activist who joined the march in Selma, Alabama 2 years later. But finally, he ran for office in Maine as a Republican. Why?
Well, at that point, I said my priorities were 1, to get rid of Johnson, and 2, to get rid of the war, and 3, to straighten out this sick society.
He lost. The Doctor's age-inappropriate love interest is played by Sally Kellerman of MASH and Star Trek fame. Sally is always a welcome addition to any production.
Is this thing going to hurt? No, I'm just raising the amplification.
Then, of course, there's an earthquake, which, naturally, causes the accidental mind switch between doctor and patient.
The man that you think is Hamilton is Major Brothers. But it wasn't! It wasn't an earthquake! It was the thing!
But wait, the patient is delusional, racked with guilt over the death of Private Gordon, who was lost in a glacial ravine somewhere in the Arctic. Obviously, this Major is not someone you want on the beaches of Normandy, particularly since his solution to ending his guilt is blowing everybody up with a nuke.
The key. Put it back. You were showing me how the dial works.
He's out to destroy us! He's out to destroy us all!
What is it?
His guilt is dramatized by the ghost of Private Gordon,
Get out.
occasionally appearing out of nowhere and pointing the finger of accusation at the Major.
Get out!
This is where Chill Charlie came in. There is much speculation about what happened next, but I believe the gallery may have finally solved the mystery of the disappearing Chill Charlie. Originally, Chill Charlie, a static, unmoving statue, was to appear, pointing his icy finger and burning, glowing eyes into the soul of Major Brothers. But somewhere along the line, he was changed to a man in a drippy mask. Private Gordon, played by William O. Douglas Jr., son of a Supreme Court justice, and the guy who played the Galaxy being in the series pilot. And frankly, Douglas is a far less disturbing and frightening image than Chill. So why the change? Let's find out. The original Chill Charlie was designed by Byron Haskin and Hua Chang of Project Unlimited, Outer Limits' go-to shop for monsters and effects. Essentially, the first special effects house ever in Hollywood. The actual construction was carried out by Thal Cy Simonson, who had been an effects and prop guy in Hollywood since RKO in the 1940s. This is the dude who actually created the device that allowed George Reeves's Superman to fly. No kidding.
We came up with a rather reasonable approach to it.
So, how was Chill made? His head is a generic rubber mask with layers of white wax, first poured, then dripped over it. The head was hollow to allow a light bulb to give the eyes their eerie glow. Today, reflective lenses have been added to mimic the effect for display. The mouth was painted black and originally pushed in to create a cavity, but the natural pull of latex as it dries out and hardens has popped it back into its original form. This is a very rare photo of the just finished mannequin. The body was wax over an army uniform padded with fiberglass surrounding a wooden frame. It was designed to move at the waist. Glycerin was added to give the wax a sparkle under the lights. In 2018, I met Sally Kellerman at an autograph show and confirmed with her that Chill Charlie was indeed used in the original May 31st to June 10th shoot. So, when was Chill Charlie replaced with William O. Douglas Jr.? And why? There hangs a tale of network politics. I worked in television for over 40 years, some of it at a network, and I can tell you from personal experience, decisions are based on two primary fear factors. One, imitation always trumps innovation, and two, always cover your ass. And for Chill Charlie, the timing was against it. The human factor was the third episode filmed, but the 8th episode aired. It is generally believed to have been held back because, well, honestly, the story is not that great, especially compared with shows like The Sixth Finger and The Man Who Was Never Born, which are freaking classics and some of the best sci-fi TV ever.
Now listen. We created a future into which I was never born.
Trust me on this and check them out.
However, the net result, the human factor, was already languishing on the shelf. But then, one of the Outer Limits' greatest episodes, the 5th produced, was moved to the 3rd broadcast slot, The Architects of Fear.
Alan Lee.
The episode is about a cadre of scientists medically transforming one of their own into a fake invading alien.
That's something I can't handle.
Essentially to scare the bejesus out of world leaders so they will forge an alliance against the alien threat and save humanity from nuclear destruction.
I know, right? We saw how well that thinking worked with COVID, but different times.
It's the first of 3 top-notch episodes to star Robert Culp, the other being Corpus Earthling.
You heard us communicate. Listeners must be destroyed.
And the single best episode of sci-fi TV ever, in my opinion, Demon with a Glass Hand.
I'm trapped in the building with the Kyvan. There's a woman with me. We can't escape. Tell me, what can I do?
Let them kill you.
But that's still in the future. Back to Architects of Fear.
The latest on that unknown space capsule. It should land in this vicinity.
Now, the Architects of Fear is famous,
Let's get out of here. What's that?
or infamous, for one overriding event. Some of ABC's local affiliates, the backbone of American broadcasting in those days, literally panicked. When the alien menace was to finally appear, it was deemed too horrifying for rural America, and screens across the country were blacked out.
You decide. Too terrifying But it did turn out to be too terrifying for ABC executives.
In an exclusive first, Prop Gallery has discovered that the reaction of those ABC affiliates is what scuppered Chill Charlie's national debut. A script dated October 18th, named Exchange Student. For an episode soon to go into production and ultimately retitled The Mice, the one with the freaking crazy rubber monster, bears a note from one of the series' 2 DPs, famed director of photography Conrad Hall. Hall shot 15 episodes of Outer Limits across both seasons, including The Human Factor and The Mice. But he really made his name with features like In Cold Blood, Cool Hand Luke.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which won him the first of 3 Oscars. He is widely considered one of the finest DPs in Hollywood history. Hall's name is scribbled on the script's cover, a common practice during the heat of production, for obvious reasons. But, most importantly, noted below the title, likely in Hall's own handwriting, was this: Reshoot, see Charlie, 10/23.
Chill was replaced after Architects of Fear aired on September 30th, after local affiliates literally blacked out their screens every time the alien monster appeared. You know somebody's head at ABC rolled after that. And then, of course, remember one of those top human factors in every network decision? Always cover your ass.
Now, no memos are known to exist proving this theory, but the timing is perfect. Days after Architects went dark, ABC called showrunner Joe Stefano and laid down the law. Chill was too scary and would have to be replaced. Sometime around October 18th, Conrad Hall was tapped for the reshoot to match his footage from The Human Factor.
Ultimately, by November 11th, The Human Factor's air date, Chill Charlie was relegated to the dustbin of history. Or was he?
Being one of the very first monsters from the Outer Limits, Chill had already been used in promotions for the series, photographed numerous times with guest stars, and sent to marketing firms already producing tie-ins for puzzles, comics, and board games. The die had been cast, and Chill would appear in items tied to the Outer Limits for decades, most notably the gum card set from 1964, where he was used on the box art and wax wrappers. Even today, Chill's coolness still resonates. In 2014, this killer kit was released, and in just the last couple of years, a creepy fan-made bust became available, along with many other Outer Limits creatures.
You will notice no one has ever released a version of Private Gordon.
Chill would even be used in a TV Guide cast photo used to promote the series. Now Everyone Say Cheese highlighted the creatures used in the first half of the first season. Chill even has a shout-out on the first page, and a description associating him with the episode he ultimately never appeared in. It was the last time Chill would be seen for 30 years.
So what happened then? Well, collector and cult monster maker Jay Gowie was there.
This is your classic Astro Zombie here.
Jay is best known for his monster work on the second Astro Zombies film, Mark of the Astro Zombie.
I redesigned it where I put slits under the eyes for the actor to really see out of, because on such short notice, I couldn't find enough pair of sunglasses that matched.
Then a 12-year stint in Hollywood. Then running the Superman Museum in Illinois.
I did produce my own movie with this guy. Kind of howdy-doody gone wild.
And finally producing and directing his own TV monster-centric feature.
Who's the clown that makes you laugh? Charlie. I did a movie called Puppet Show.
All this put him in good graces with Thal Cy Simonson when they met back in Jay's home state of Arizona.
So I didn't realize that him and his family owned this entire area of Scottsdale. And the road that I took to go up to his house is actually the road in Westworld that the shuttle takes to Delos.
Your attention, please. We will soon be landing at Westworld.
That was actually his driveway, and that was something he worked on.
Boy, do we have a vacation for you, for you, for you, for you.
The minute he opened the door and I first met him, he stabbed me with a lead dagger from Superman that curled up on my chest. We'd both worked on movies, so I think he took a kind of kinship to me, because I wasn't just a Superman fan for once.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about Superman, but that was 1959, and I had to ask him, how you been eating since, you know? And here came like a plethora of things that he'd done, like World of Giants, The Fugitive,
A QM production.
The Invaders, and The Outer Limits.
There is nothing wrong with your television set.
Can you tell me about how Chill was found and how Chill was restored and why, and go from there?
I called Cy Simonson just to see what was up. He answers the phone. He's all, I've been waiting for you to call. I'm like, oh? And he said, I found a bunch of stuff for you. When can you come over? He had several rolling prop boxes that had been in his yard for, 35 years. Sitting in the Arizona sun, at least 5 monsters from Outer Limits. There was a luminoid mask from Feasibility Study. There was the Corpus Earthling, all silicone, and it had the eyes lit up. So it was the one that was dragging and crawling across the floor. One of the flowers from Specimen Unknown. There was some Superman items in there, a lead mask, a cape. But there in the pile of things was something I dearly recognized, I had seen my whole life, was Chill Charlie. But old Chill Charlie was not seen in the episode. But he did go on to being published in TV Guide. Well, when the photo shoot was over, Chill Charlie, who was made to bob at the waist, well, he kind of bobbed a little too far and shattered. And they were so in love with the character, they begged Cy to fix him. Please fix him. There was no way Cy could fix him. It was something he couldn't repair, and he kept the head. So he gave me all this stuff with the condition that he knew I restored stuff. He goes, I want you to restore it, and brought back to life. So I embarked on Chill Charlie, bringing him back. I glued on what pieces, like his chin was off, his shoulder was off. The top of his head had been crushed in and it was split open. So I did what they did. I pushed his head back together and glued it up and filled it in with wax, and got his shoulder, and the same thing, filled it in with wax and glue, got that. I got his chin back on. And then I went and bought a bunch of white candles and rebuilt what I had to on his cheeks, reestablished his chin on with that, and covered it with fiberglass resin, which I was surprised didn't melt the wax. I really expected with the heat that it would melt the wax. I put some yellow sunglass lenses back in his eyes. He had no eyes. Reassembled him and was really proud. I was able to show Cy that, see, I did restore him just like you wanted, and he came out great. He was amazed. He was amazed that I was able to get him back together. And he creeped everybody out. I could understand the network wanting to maybe can him, but the guy who didn't get on the show got his own puzzle.
Yeah. And he's the cover of the gum cards. I mean,
right on the wrapper,
Yeah. And he's also got his own model kit.
Yeah, the best thing that was never on the show.
And now Chill has found a home among, shall we say, kindred spirits in the prop gallery.
We now return control of your television set to you.